Okay, what do you know about Daniel?
You want from the beginning, or?
What do you know about Daniel?
He was one of the young men selected by King Nebuchadnezzar because he was one of the more perfect Israelite specimens, I guess,
Okay.
to be in Nebuchadnezzar's service, be trained, and
Very good, I didn't expect that. What do you know about that? Good answer. What do you know about Daniel?
He could interpret dreams, couldn't he?
He what?
He could interpret dreams.
Okay. Anybody else? Nobody brought up the lions.
Oh, the lions.
well, that's,
Usually
That's
the
the
other
most
thing I hear when
Here's-
I ask that question is, oh, he was thrown in the lion's den.
He was selected by God to prophesy and tell the foretelling of Jesus.
Okay. What's the book of Daniel about?
Faith.
Hmm?
Faith.
Faith?
Faith.
Well, Daniel's such a great example for faith. The book is about something.
It's about God's punishment for the Israelites, taking them out, and how He protected them there so that they can return.
That's good. About God's protection. It's also about His correction. Anybody else?
how to serve God in a hostile environment.
Okay. When we get to chapter 4, it becomes very clear what it's about. It's about all those things. Those things are all part of the story, part of the prophecy. But it's about God's sovereignty, about God is all through this thing. He's manipulating Nebuchadnezzar. He's manipulating Cyrus. He's changing the heart of the guy that was supposed to train him. God's in charge of the whole thing. Okay. How is Daniel special?
Well, he didn't comply to where he was at against the Lord. He kept his own beliefs and did not let where he was at in his situation change it.
Right. He absolutely put his life on the line over and above the fear that he might have had that he was in a foreign country being used by foreign people, foreign language. Nebuchadnezzar could have said, put a spear through that idiot and let's get out of here. And Daniel would have been dead. But he stood his ground when he thought something wasn't right and didn't conform to what he believed. He went with his beliefs. Another thing special about Daniel, he's one of the very rare people in the Bible that there are no negative comments toward.
Yeah.
Noah saved civilization, then got drunk in his tent, was laying there naked, and had to discipline one of his sons. Moses took the rod in anger and struck the stone and didn't get to go into the promised land. Peter, well, we spent 6 weeks on Peter. David had the husband of the woman next door killed so he could have her for a wife. It just goes on and on. Noah, Adam ate of the fruit and polluted the entire human race for 6,000 years. But Daniel was one of those people that the Bible has no negative comment toward. He always stood his ground, and he always did what he thought was right. And it didn't matter if his life was on the line, and it didn't matter if what anybody thought. Matter of fact, he absolutely could have done it differently and more safely than he did, but he did it blatantly. Give me an example. Well, we'll be coming to it, but
He wouldn't eat the meat that was sacrificed to, or dedicated to the idols, I guess.
okay, good that. But if you're, well, we're gonna read the story.
He could have prayed inside his house, but he went right out onto the balcony where everybody could see
Right.
him.
He's in a foreign country and he said, I can't eat this meat. Now, what do all the vegetarians do?
Complain.
But I mean, what's the favorite story in the Bible for vegetarians? They always go to Daniel and say, see, vegetables are better for you. It wasn't about the food. It doesn't say you can't eat a ribeye steak, thank God. The tick says I can't, the Bible doesn't. But Daniel, he said, I can't eat meat sacrificed to idols, like John said. It was a spiritual thing for him. And he wasn't going to pollute his body knowingly by doing it, okay? So, while we're at it, most people, when I say, what's Daniel about, they say, well, the end times, the prophecies. And it's in there. That stuff's in there, okay? But it's about a lot more than that. It is about the sovereignty of God. God is in charge, and God has everything under control. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you will go through, no matter what is in store for you tomorrow, God got there first, and He's already got the solution fixed. We prayed for a Brianna's friend. He was septic. We prayed for him, the next day he wasn't septic, the next day he went home.
Great.
God's in charge. If we'll let Him be in charge, if we'll turn it over to Him, if we'll let Him be God, life goes a whole lot smoother than if we don't. Okay. Daniel's a great example of that. He was taken into captivity. He lived almost his entire life in Babylon, and he lived there for 65 years. The printer wouldn't print the printout, so I'll give it to you next week. But it's an outline of the book. It's in the first chapter, and it gives you some information about the introduction. Judah had really grieved God, and God let the Nebuchadnezzar attack Jerusalem and carry off captives to Babylon. Daniel was one of those captives, and he lived in Babylon and died in Babylon for 65 years. So, somebody read 1 and 2.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. These he carried off to the temple of his God in Babylonia, and put the treasure house put in the treasure house of his God.
Okay, some interesting things in there. So, Nebuchadnezzar went up to Jerusalem and conquered it, right?
No.
All it says is besieged. All it says is besieged.
Besieged.
The Lord delivered it.
Pardon me?
The Lord delivered.
The Lord delivered it to him. He besieged it, but God gave him the victory. He did not go up to Jerusalem and win the war. God gave him the victory. God was in charge. You're going to see this in almost every verse of Daniel. It's saying over and over again, God is in charge. Okay? So you got the first point. God delivered the king of Judah into his hands. Now, what also did he deliver?
Articles from the temple.
Huh?
Articles from the temple.
Articles from the temple. Why did he do that? Why did he give a pagan king articles from the temple to go and put in his pagan temple? The Babylonians worshiped Moloch, Ishtar, and Baal.
Baal.
The world's still worshiping those two today, but read Return of the Kings by Jonathan Cole. Okay, why did he do that? Let me tell you,
He's gonna use it.
he did it because they were more important to the Israelites than God himself was. They worshiped the temple, they didn't worship God. They worshiped the things in the temple, they didn't worship God. Church hasn't changed a lot. There's a whole lot of people far more worried about the church or the grounds or the trees or whatever than God himself. Their relationship is with the physical and not with the spiritual. It's not changed much. People still do it today. My daughter went to Arkansas to go to college at John Brown University. And one Sunday morning she got up and she went to this independent Christian church in Arkansas. Not Johnson City, Ditto Company. But she went to this independent Christian church and there was this sermon about the environment and about God being in all the trees and everything, and they used the first chapter of Romans for a scripture that when God created everything, he put himself in it so that everybody could find God, even if they hadn't heard. You know, the natives in the jungle worship. Why? They don't have a Bible. They've been isolated for 6,000 years. Well, for 4,500 since the flood. They've been isolated since then, and yet they still worship. Why? Because they see God's provision in the monkey. They see God's protection in the river. They always build their villages in the Amazon in a bend of the river. So then they only have to defend one side. The river protects them from the other side. And so they see God's protection in the river. They see all the aspects of God in creation because he put them there so they could find him. Now, they don't worship Jehovah and they don't have a Bible, but they know there's a higher being and they worship him the best they know how. The only place you can find an atheist in this world is on a college campus. Everybody else with any common sense at all knows there's a God, and you couldn't just blow up a tiny little amount of energy and create a universe out of it. No more than you can blow up a lumberyard and build a barn. Just can't be done.
Bugs Bunny says it does.
Huh?
Bugs Bunny says it does.
Actually, there's a lot of truth to it because in the beginning there was pretty much nothing. And God built the universe out of nothing, but they kind of left God out of the story. Actually, they've got it pretty close. They just don't
They don't
give
have the
God
right-
the credit.
Well, they don't give God the credit, and they've got it in the wrong order too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The order's way off. We'll do that again sometime, that order thing. And it comes from one of the most elite 3 colleges, universities in the world. And got anybody with half a brain that's lived 10 years on this earth will look at that list and say, this is stupid. We got new people, we ought to review this. All right. So he carried off, they carried off the instruments that the Israelites were worshiping more than him himself, and he took them away from him. And he was trying to say to them, these are not what's important. Solomon's not what's important. The temple is not what's important. What is important is your relationship with me. Because if we can get that right, I can bless you. If you can trust me, I can give you a much better life. Okay. So it was an example for them as to what they'd done wrong. Okay, somebody read 3 through 5. Any questions on this?
Can I read?
Huh?
I haven't read before, can I read?
Sure can.
Can I read?
Sure.
Then the king in the treasury, sorry. Then the king commanded Ashpenaz, the chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility, youths without blemish, of good appearance, and skillful in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge and understanding, learning, and competent to stand in the king's palace and to teach the literature and language of the how do you say that?
Okay.
Chaldeans. The king assigned them a daily portion of the food that the king ate and of the wine that he drank. They were to be. No, I think you said 3.
Yeah, 3-5.
Oh, okay.
Wine that he drank, and they educated for 3 years. At the end of that time, they were to stand before the king.
Okay. All right. God anointed these 4 people for his service in Babylon. You'll hear the expression, bloom where you're planted.
What was it?
Bloom where you're planted. Never heard it?
Oh,
Okay.
I have.
It means wherever God puts you, that's where you should be, so bloom. A lot of times we say, oh, why'd God do this to me? Well, he did it to you because really it's the best thing for you. I mean, I really had no idea anything about French Lake, Indiana when the post office moved me down here. And I was pretty adamant to bid out and get out of here just as fast as I possibly could. And that was in 1986. I've been here 40 years. And I found out that this was where God wanted me to be. At the time I was going to Purdue, I had straight A's. I started out in pre-med. Then I found out pretty quick that back in the 70s, if your dad wasn't a doctor and if you weren't a member of a priority, your chances of getting in medical school were pretty much 0. It was kind of an elite group. And God had a different plan. He moved me down here, and I thought, we had a nice home in Summit Hill, and things were great. And it turned out that this is exactly where God wanted me to be, and it's exactly where I've lived. And I have no complaints. Probably if I'd have been a doctor, I wouldn't. Who knows what would have happened if I'd been a doctor. Money might have taken over my life. Material things might have taken over my life. I'm financially secure. I don't owe anybody a dime. My electric bill is $90 a month. God just blesses me at every turn. I look at my daughter's electric bill, it's $400, but of course she lives in $1 million house and six bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. The place is crazy, but everybody's got their own bathroom. And it's nice. And so far, it doesn't appear that money has really taken over their lives, but too many times it does. Too many times it does, and when it does, it's hard to turn away from it. Well, he puts them in a situation where they're basically slaves, but then he blesses them. He makes them handsome, he makes them smart, and he puts them in a position where he wants them to be. Now, Daniel could have had a lot of complaints because Daniel hadn't done a thing wrong. And neither had the 3 people that were picked with him. They hadn't done anything wrong either. And they could have been sitting around moaning and groaning, saying, oh, woe is me, why did God do this to me? Well, God had a plan. And that plan is still in force today because we're studying it. And it can change our life too. We can take an example from Daniel and we can try to be more like him. Because we're not going to find anywhere in Daniel where God says anything negative about him. There's only been 3 or 4 people in the Bible where that's the case. First one,
Jesus.
Jesus, thank you. Jesus. Second one, Daniel. Enoch didn't have anything negative to say about him. And the third one is one of the greatest, but one of the least mentioned in the Bible. You talked about it last week. Melchizedek.
Oh, okay.
Melchizedek was a priest and a prophet. There's not one negative word. Everybody else, it tells you all about their humanity and how they were frail. And we need to know that because I'm a human and I'm frail. And I can make the same mistakes David made. I can make the same mistakes Noah made. And when I learned from them and when I learned the consequences of it, then I have a choice to make. Walk away from it or be like it. And end up with the same result. What's that old saying? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Sin leads us to the same place every time. Guilt and repentance. Every time it leads us to the same. If you want to quit, stop that cycle, stop sinning. Easier said than done. Yeah. All right. So, he takes them and he puts them in the king's palace, and they're going to eat from the king's table. Now, the problem with Baal worship was eating the food was part of the worship. You would kill the animal, you'd draw the blood, you'd sacrifice it. It was a mimic of what was going to happen in Jerusalem's temple. And was what was happening because Satan has always tried to mimic God. It's always tried to mimic Christ in all that time. So they would eat this and drink this wine, and they would eat this meat that had been sacrificed to Baal and Moloch and Ishtar. And Daniel said, I can't do that. I can't do that. Even though he didn't take part in the worship, in that environment, eating it was part of the worship. You were saying to Baal, thanks for providing for me. You were saying to Ishtar, thanks for making my wife and my animals fertile. You were worshiping the God when you did it. And Daniel said, not me. Now you're a slave in a foreign country that has just been taken over by a very cruel king. How smart is that decision? And Daniel, a young man, just stood up and said, I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. How many lives would have been saved in 1970 if we'd have told the government, you vote for abortion, you'll never be elected back into office again? And back in 1970, 85% of the country said they believed in Christianity. Okay. What if we had taken a lot of things that used to, when I was a kid, they were illegal, but now they're illegal, so we can tax them. What if we had said, don't vote for that, or you'll never get my vote again? What if we took a stand and decided to try and change the world? What do you think would happen? If my people who are called by my name will humble myself and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear their prayer and forgive their sins and heal their land. It's not if the drunks will quit drinking. It's not if the drug dealers have quit dealing. It's not if the prostitutes will quit offering themselves for money. It's if the Christians will just start being the Christians. Listen to that again. If my people, who's God's people? Me, you, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, can also mean seek my will, and turn from their wicked ways. You know, our wicked ways aren't like the guy in Venezuela who tortures people, who slaughters people. Our wicked ways are turning a blind eye and ignoring the fact that it's there. Daniel said, I'm not doing that. This is wrong and I'm not doing it. And what happened? He changed Babylon. Read the story of Joseph. He became the leader of Egypt. I mean, think about it. All those great men, Paul brought salvation to the Gentiles single-handedly by himself. The other 11 apostles didn't want to have anything to do with Gentiles. Paul said, wherever, Lord, I'll go. Of course, God had to strike him blind first. But he got the message, and when he got the message, he went out and changed the entire Roman world. One man just started making churches and writing letters to them. And half our New Testament was written by that one man. We can change the world if we just stop being busy about other things and do it. All right. 6 and 7.
Among those who were chosen were some from Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief official gave them new names. To Daniel, the name Belteshazzar; to Hananiah, Shadrach; to Mishael, Meshach; and to Azariah, Abednego.
Okay, so we got Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Ever hear those names before?
Yeah, I can remember where. Yeah, I've heard it, but I can't remember where.
Why did he change the names?
I'm sure their Jewish names meant something.
Huh?
Their Jewish names meant something to God, didn't they? I mean, I'm not sure what each of them meant, but they.
Okay, there was that reason. There was that. They
Okay.
wanted to take away that relationship and try to integrate them into their God. Okay, so that was there. There's another reason though.
probably wanted to, take away their identity and give them a whole new identity.
It's about possession. You take away their identity, they belong to you.
Yeah.
Their identity was with God and with Jerusalem. So they take it away. Now, why does God change our names?
Same reason.
Same reason. Same reason. He changed Abram to Abraham. He changed Sarai to Sarah. He changed Simon to Peter.
Jacob,
He changed Saul to Paul.
Jacob,
Huh?
Jacob,
Jacob.
He
Jacob.
changed Jacob to Israel. Same reason. It showed a new identity. Now, in a Catholic church, when they baptize you into the church, they leave your legal name on the death certificate, but within the church, you pick another name. Same tradition. And it's about possession. It's about belonging to something. When I'm first born physically, my mom and dad give me my name. It also says in the Bible that when we get to heaven, we will be given a new name by God himself, by Jesus Christ himself. There's a song that says there's a new name written down, glory. Well, it's also talking about my name being in the book of life, but it's also talking about me belonging to a new, me having me belonging to God and not belonging to the world. Being baptized, risen to a new life. Okay. We don't do it in the United States because that would really mess up the social security system. Right? So they were all going to be given a new name, and all of the new names would be Babylonian names. They would not be Judean names. All right. And we're done. I'll try to get my printer going, and we'll pick up with 8 next week. Go ahead and read the rest of the chapter, because there's a lot of foundation and groundwork in chapter 1 that will help you understand chapter 2 through 12. Okay? But Daniel's a great read. I mean, it's a great study, because he's a very human person who loves God more than himself. And he shows us how he does it, and how God responds.